What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Shapeshifter 50 all hand-wired point-to-point amplifier from Redbeard Amplification. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take all sorts of awesome, high gain related guitar equipment, I record it with a simple SM57 setup. I don't know why I had to think about that, it's the same every time. And I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into East End or thrash riffs, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes that have eaten chicken wings for 5 days consecutively, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on your way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks! Alright guys, so today we have the second amplifier on the channel from my friend Brian over at Redbeard Amplification. If you guys have been following the channel for a little bit, you may remember his first amp, the first amp that he ever designed and built, ended up here on the channel for a playthrough. And based on the comments, a lot of you guys really like that amp. So now Brian has been a busy boy because he has designed a few different amplifiers since then and a 50-watt power amp. From what I can tell talking to Brian, he has an absolute fire for this stuff. He's got a passion for it and he's been hitting the ground running. Not many people design their first amp and then have multiple designs out on the market a year later. So what do you think, Moosey? You think he likes it? You gotta go potty? Come on, Moochie, let's go. And we're back. So anyways, just to let you guys know, before we even get rolling on this video, this is a sponsored video. Brian has sent this amp to me. I don't get to keep the amp, but he has paid me to share this with you guys here on the channel. Wanted to let you guys know that for the sake of transparency. Feel free to take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. Just know you guys are gonna get my honest thoughts and opinions, as you always do. So keep that in mind. All right guys, so a quick overview of this amplifier, which number one, I think the combination of the Tolexes that are going on here, actually really cool looking. I think that this thing is striking and it actually kind of stands out a little bit. This is a 2-channel amplifier. This is all tube. This is point to point, all hand wired by Brian himself. Brian uses all top quality components in this thing, including massive Hayboard transformers. So if you're a fan of big iron amplifiers, this thing definitely has massive iron in it. It has 5 12AX7 preamp tubes in the preamp section, and it's got 2 KT77s in the power amp section. And a lot like his other design, it's got the gain 1 and gain 2 that is common to a lot of like modern Marshall style, Jose style circuits. These are gonna control not only your gain, but they're gonna kind of control the frequencies of the amplifier as well. He also has a saturation circuit built into this. So when you switch this on, it adds some saturation and it adds some compression, and you can actually control how much that gets added to the circuit with this variable control here. You've also got volume, depth, presence, bass, treble. Right here's where things get interesting. This is where the amp gets its name. You have a variable mid-sweep pot on the bottom here, as well as your normal mid control. So this pot on the bottom is going to control where the mids are focused on this amplifier. And I can tell you, going from one end of the spectrum to the other, makes a huge difference. So we'll explore that a little bit. This amp also has a foot switch for the channel switches, and I believe the saturation. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll let Brian confirm that in the comments below. It also has an effects loop with an on and off switch, and it's got external bias points to round off the features. I'm really struggling here. So for this demo, we're gonna check out a couple different guitars, and I'm actually gonna try this through another speaker cabinet too, just to see if this amp prefers another speaker more than the stock vintage 30s in my Mesa 1999 traditional cab. We've got an SM57 on that V30. For that intro clip and for the beginning of this demo, I'm gonna be using my Balaguer Typhon with a Seymour Duncan distortion in the bridge. We were actually boosting the amp with a TS9, and just to remind you how that sounded. So that's with the TS9 on. Guys, one thing I do have to say, and I mentioned this to Brian, this amp is noisy. It's very, very noisy. I definitely think that that's something that he needs to work out in future iterations of this amplifier. I do not have a gate in the loop, but a gate in the loop would actually help that quite a bit. But another thing that I noticed about the amplifier is the amp sounds pretty different with the loop on and off, which leads me to believe that that loop is not going to be transparent. So if you're running effects or anything in the loop, it is going to color the tone differently. Just to show you what I'm talking about, let's turn the amp on again. I do have a noise gate on in front of the amplifier. This is with the loop off. Here it is with the loop on. All right, guys, so with the loop on, the amp gets a little darker, it gets a little fatter, and it kind of loses a little bit of its clarity. So if you are an effects person, if you need that loop on at all times, there is going to be a difference with the loop on versus off on this amp. So if you don't mind the difference, or if you like it better with the loop on, that's great. But if you like the amp better with the loop off and then you need to kick it on for your effects and stuff, that is definitely going to be one of the pitfalls of this amp. But I just wanted to get that out of the way. Again, full transparency with you guys, and I let Brian know this as well. So turning the amp back on, I'm gonna turn my overdrive off, turn that loop off. So first off, let's check out the mid sweep control. I'm gonna play a chord and just generally sweep this, and you guys will be able to see the differences in the mids as we go. I'm gonna turn the mids up just past noon so it has a little bit more of an effect. All right, guys, so as you turn this mid control up, it definitely gets a lot more low mid focus, and it kind of is almost like an American and a British side, I guess, if you wanted to categorize it that way. Over here, you've got a lot more low mids. It's darker sounding. It's a little chunkier, a little bit more guttural. Over here on this side, you've got a lot broader of a mid-range, and it just seems a little bit more open, or not a little bit, it seems a lot more open, because this control does make a massive difference in the overall sound of the amp. So I think you're gonna end up finding yourself kind of fine-tuning that depending on what guitar, what cabinet, what overdrive you have in front of the amp. That is a big tool when you are shaping the tone of this amp, hence the shapeshifter. Now, what was I talking about with the gain controls controlling the overall frequencies of the amplifier? Let's turn that on, and I'm gonna show you. right, guys, so I honestly don't know if this is based on a Jose style circuit, but I have played other Jose style circuits that had the exact same effect when dialing the gains down. And that is one thing that I'm just not a huge fan about on these circuits. When you dial the gains down, this amp has a lot of gain on tap naturally. I would personally like to be able to dial the gains back a little bit and kick in a tube screamer to get a little bit of a drier, more percussive tone with the gains rolled back, but then the amp sounds a little bit thin, a little bit stringy. The mids become a little bit annoying in my opinion. I think modern players would like it with the gain dialed back if they want that kind of really barky mid-forward thing going on. But me personally, I like a really full sounding amp that I can kind of just tighten up a little bit. So that is my preference overall, but that's why I'm not a huge fan of these style of gain controls. So anyways, yeah, enough about the gain controls. Let's kind of dive in. Let's see what type of tones that we can get out of this thing. I'm gonna actually pull those gain controls back. We do not have the saturation control on just yet, but let's see if we can kind of pull a slightly lower gain tone out of a guitar with lower output pickups. All right, sorry, my guitar decided to fall out of tune halfway through that, but as you guys can see, when you roll those gains back, it gets very, very thin. I've got the treble turned way, way down. I've got the presence pulled back quite a bit from where I did have it. Let's actually see if we can kind of counteract that a little bit. Let's roll gain 2 back and let's dial gain 1 up. Okay, so that actually does thicken it up a little bit. Let's pull that presence back up. It definitely has that plexi treble circuit thing going on where it's very stringy in the top end. A lot of classic rock tones are kind of like that. You can roll your tone on your bridge pickup back if you want to counteract that a little bit. Almost like a Stratty type sound, and then roll everything back up. So can it do it? Yeah, kinda. I think that this amp is just kind of meant to be a balls to the wall high gain monster though. It's not really cleaning up with my volume, and when you dial those gains back, it thins out considerably. So I really just feel like this thing is meant to be run a lot like this. All right, so it's time to check out that saturation circuit. Let's flip that on. You're immediately gonna notice a volume drop overall, and it's gonna be a lot more compressed. All right, so what happens if we go ahead and we dial those mids back a little bit? As you can see there, it definitely gets a lot more even. That mid honk that's in there kind of goes away a little bit, smooths it out quite a bit. Let's kind of dial that shape shift up as well and shift those mids a little lower. So there you go. I'm sitting right beside the amp, so I'm getting a little bit of feedback from this Duncan Antiquity. This is an unpotted PAF noise. Again, It's an unpotted PAF, so it's going to generate a lot of noise. Let's try it with an active pickup and see how it reacts to an active pickup. I have not been using a boost since I turned off that original TS9, by the way. So this amp has good saturation. It's got good tightness to it. It's got a little bit of that low mid Marshall thud going to it. Once we kick in an overdrive, it's really going to become percussive. All right, guys, so I have my LTD Phoenix Black Metal here with the Ryan Bruce Fishman Signature Fluence pickup. We are on the active setting. Here's how it sounds. All right, so as you can see, very saturated, very percussive. It's got a lot less top end brightness, so let's dial the treble up a little bit and the presence. And again, I'm sitting next to the amp, but I can hear some of the noise over top of what I'm playing. Yeah, man, this amp sounds really good, but that noise is an issue. That is something that I think that Brian kind of needs to get figured out. If so, I'm not sure exactly what in the circuit is causing the noise, but I think that that's something that definitely needs to get sorted out. Again, a noise gate in the loop would probably help that quite a bit, but that's the saturation circuit with active pickups. Let's turn it off. Let's turn our volume back down. And still, man, it's a good sounding amp. Let's turn the bass up. Let's turn that treble back just a little bit. Okay guys, for the last guitar on this cabinet, let's try it with a 7-string and see how it handles that. All right guys, Schecter PT Hybrid here with the EMG 57 in the bridge. We have no overdrive on out in front of the amp. Here's what we got. All right, so for the 7-string, there are things I like and don't like about it. I wish I could get a little bit more of that top end sizzle. Seems like maybe a tad bit of blanket over the speaker type effect with these particular pickups, this particular guitar. But overall, it holds up in the tightness department. The amp has a ton of headroom because we're playing loud in the room right now, and all of the low end is staying together, and that's a testament to the nice Tabor big fat transformers in this thing. But real quick, let's try it on a cab with greenbacks and see how it reacts to a different speaker with slightly less mid push. I feel like it's going to smooth it out in a way that we're going to find appealing. All right, guys, so we are on the Marshall 425 A cab with G12C greenback speakers in it, and I can already tell you, I think that these are a better match for sure with the mid profile of this amplifier. The greenbacks really smooth out that upper mid kind of honkiness that we were hearing on the vintage 30s. Just to show you, here's what we got. So yeah, I'm not sure how that's gonna sound onto the mic, but here in the room, it sounds a lot better to my ears. I'm really digging the way that this amp is pairing with a greenback. And again, guys, we have the saturation switch on, but no boost. That's no overdrive out in front. It's nice and tight. So let's go ahead, let's kick that saturation circuit off, and let's dial it in with some sort of boost. Real quick, I forgot to do a drop C hardcore riff. That'll be the last riff. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me today on the Redbeard Amplification Shapeshifter 50. What did you guys think about this amplifier? Let me know down below in the comments of this video, and I'll be sure to meet you guys down there to chat about it. If you'd like to pick one of these up, I will link to the Redbeard Amplification website. Brian says that he currently has one of these ready to go, but if that one goes and you guys want to get in the build queue, that's no problem. The amplifier costs $2,500, and if you guys are putting down for a build, it's going to cost you $500 up front, and the rest due upon completion. Thanks again to Brian for sending this out. Let me check it out here with you guys on the channel, sponsoring this video. And if you guys want to help the channel in any additional ways, of course, my affiliate links always apply, or you can join my Patreon community and support the channel that way. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.